Yes.
Today at 8 p.m., once again, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is going to address us. Yesterday we were told, when he had this video conference with chief ministers of different states, that the states have been asked to give their suggestions by 15th May. So we thought that Modi ji will probably make an announcement after that. But suddenly this morning we were told that there will be an 8 p.m. address by the Prime Minister. 8 p.m. an address by Narendra Modi. This is, for all of us nowadays, this makes us nervous. Because it was 8 November 2016 at 8 p.m. when note ban was announced. It was again at 8 p.m. on March 24, 2020 when this lockdown was announced. So we just hope that today, once again, after 50 days of lockdown, when Modi ji addresses us, he is not going to announce any bigger ban. After note ban and lockdown, we are left with only a little bit of democracy and a bit of constitution in the country. We hope that we are not in for another bigger ban in this country. We also hope that every time Modi ji, when he addresses us, he is a taskmaster. He won't tell us what this government is planning to do, what his government has done. No. He will always give us some new tasks. So citizens will be asked to clap, they will be asked to clang their utensils, they will be asked to light torches, light candles. We will be told that there will be flower petals will be showered on our doctors. So we hope that this time Modi ji doesn't take us for another ride, doesn't tell us some mask yoga that the Indian people will have to follow. So there are 8 serious questions we have. And all these questions are based on Modi ji's March 24 address when he announced lockdown as this government's decisive strategy. So he had said in Hindi, "Jaan hai to jahan hai," which means that his government is prepared to do everything necessary to save lives. And after 50 days, when you look back, all these 50 days, we have been losing lives. We have been losing lives like anything, not only to COVID, but also to this cruel and chaotic lockdown. So if you talk about COVID, here is the graph. This is the total number of deaths. So this is where we were in the middle of February. This is where we were in March when lockdown was announced. This is where we are today. So, and this is about the cases. Similar kind of rise in number of cases. So if you look at the figures, on March 24, when the lockdown was announced, we had only 536 corona positive cases in India, and there are only 10 deaths reported till then. 14th April, when the second phase of lockdown was announced, the figures had shot up to 11,487 cases and 393 deaths. On 3rd May, when we went for the third phase of lockdown, the figures had risen to 42,505 cases and 1,391 deaths. And today, after 50 days, when Modi ji addresses you, the figures stand at 71,339 cases and 2,310 deaths. And in terms of global ranking, India is now on number 12, just after China. So this is where we have reached in 50 days of lockdown. And as I said, the people are dying not just because of COVID. We are losing lives not just to COVID-19, but we are losing lives every day, and completely avoidable lives that could have been easily saved. We are losing those lives to the lockdown. In 50 days, we have seen that India's migrant workers, they continue to march towards their home, and they are dying. They are dying of hunger, they are dying of fatigue, they are dying in accidents. They are dying on railway tracks, they are dying on streets, roads, under speeding vehicles, run over under trucks. They are dying even just a few kilometers before reaching home. So why this procession of deaths is continuing? Modi ji definitely owes an answer to all of us, because he said his government was ready to do everything necessary and possible to save lives, but we are losing lives big time. Why our migrant workers couldn't return yet? Some people were airlifted. We saw from China, from Italy, from Iran, people were airlifted. But India's own workers from Bihar, workers from Bengal, workers from Orissa, workers from Jharkhand, who are working in Tamil Nadu, in Karnataka, in Maharashtra, in Gujarat, in Delhi, in 50 days, we haven't managed to send them home. The government hasn't managed to ensure that safe and secure return of our own workers. But over these 50 days, we have seen there are leaders, there are members of parliament for whom everything is there. There are pilgrims for whom luxury buses have been made available, but not for the workers. So why India's workers, millions of them, are being ill-treated like this? Modi ji owes us an answer. Everybody who understands India, who understands the scale of hunger and malnutrition in India, and who is aware of the strength of India, all these economists, they have suggested that we have sufficient amount of food grains. The FCI godowns, they are full. Now is the time to open all those godowns and to make sure that for the next 6 months, nobody will die of hunger in India. Nobody will die of starvation. Everybody, whether he or she has a ration card or not, everybody will be getting the ration, will be getting necessary food through our public distribution system. But till date, in 50 days, no such scheme has been announced and the people are not getting free ration across India. We are talking about our corona warriors. All this clapping and clanging and in lighting of torch, all these things, all we have said, this is to salute our corona warriors. But even now, we find that now these corona warriors, they still don't have PPEs. And when I'm talking about corona warriors, I'm not just talking about doctors. I'm not just talking about nurses. I'm also talking about all those ASHA health activists. I'm also talking about all those sanitation workers. I'm also talking about all those policemen who are in uniform, all of whom are rendering essential services, and all of whom they are battling this virus, and they need PPE. That's the list that they need. And in 50 days, we have not managed to provide this list thing that they need, the PPEs. Our testing rate, in 50 days, even after 50 days, in terms of testing, we rank among the lowest in the world. So, the fewer you test, obviously, we'll have fewer number of positive cases. But that also means that even statistically, while we might feel that, well, we are in a better condition today, but we won't actually know what's the real gravity, what's the real degree of spread of the disease in India. So Modi ji definitely owes us an answer about PPEs, about testing. Where is the package? In 50 days, where is the package for the common people? The government made an appeal to employers, to industrialists, that you should continue to pay wages, that nobody's wages should be cut. Now, all these employers, they are saying that we are not in a position to do it. So it's going to be just a closed door kind of conversation, the government appealing and the employers turning down the government's appeal. But what about the workers? Our workers, whether they are in the organized sector, they are in the unorganized sector, in the informal economy, self-employed workers, all of them, they need lockdown wages. And those who don't get any wages, they need lockdown sustenance allowance. We had demanded a minimum sustenance allowance of only 10,000 rupees per family. Nothing much. But in 50 days, no such package has been announced. If the government is having any shortage of money, then the first thing that it should do is it should stop all its wasteful expenditure. The Central Vista, 20,000 crore rupees budget. which means a new parliament building and a new bungalow for the Prime Minister. New luxury jets for the Prime Minister, for the President, for the Vice President, costing 8,500 crore rupees. There is absolutely no embargo on all this wasteful expenditure. When the government talks about shortage of money, shortage of funds, it's only when we are talking about our workers, we are talking about our peasants, we are talking about the common people who need financial assistance, who need immediate relief in the middle of this epidemic. Then we have this Arogya Setu app. Yesterday we heard Justice B.N. Sri Krishna, who had chaired the Committee on Data Protection. And he has made it absolutely clear that this Arogya Setu app, it has no legal backing. It has no parliamentary backing. It has no constitutional backing. And we have also been told by people, ethical hackers, that this app is certainly not secure. So here we are being coerced to download an app which itself is not secure, where our data won't be secure. So what is this? This is just digital despotism. This is just digital coercion in the name of security, in the name of battling the coronavirus. So, and there are some administrations, some Noida district administration, for example, who have said that people will be fined if they don't download the Arogya Setu app. The government is announcing that it is mandatory for all employees, private sector or public sector or government employees. It is mandatory for all people planning to travel on Indian railways or in Indian aeroplanes, civil aviation. So why is it that this app, which should be absolutely voluntary, why is it being mandatory? And this app, which is just a tool for surveillance, why this app is being mandatory? Narendra Modi, you owe us an answer, and there must be an end to this digital coercion in the middle of this corona pandemic. Then we find state governments, one government after another, Uttar Pradesh, Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh, all BJP ruled governments. Now they are saying that for next 3 years, all labor laws stand suspended. Why is it so? The labor laws, they have a long history in this country. They have a long history of working class movement. They have a long history of labor legislation. It goes back to the days of Dr. Ambedkar. It is rooted in our constitution. And today, in a free country, the free workers, they are being sought to be reduced to the status of bonded labor. They are being treated as slaves, where there will be democracy only for the rich, there will be democracy only for the capitalists, and there will be no democracy, only slavery, only serfdom for our working class. So this working class slavery, this forced bonded labor, this is not going to work in India, and we want this to stop. Let Narendra Modi assure that all those state governments who have made these announcements, which are absolutely unconstitutional, which are against the working class, against the interests of the people, those must be stopped. The economy is not going to resume working on the basis of suspension of labor laws. The economy needs relief, the economy needs investment, the economy needs proper planning. But the government, when it announces suspension of labor laws, it makes it very clear that probably corona is just a pretext, the pandemic is just a pretext. This whole lockdown is just the government is trying to use it as a license to basically deny the working class of India, the working people of India, their hard-won, their rights, the labor rights in this country. This cannot go on. And finally, what about the PM Cares Fund? You announced this fund with so much fanfare. You said that here is the fund which will take care of our needs in the middle of this pandemic. And we found that all these big companies who are deducting wages, who are cutting salaries, and they are contributing, donating money big time to your fund. But is this fund under lockdown? Why no announcement? Why we don't really know that this money is being spent for what purpose? If money is a crisis, then of course you can stop all your wasteful expenditure. But then you are just amassing wealth, amassing money in this PM Cares Fund without any transparency, without any accountability, and we think that this is a mockery of the needs for relief. This is a mockery with Indian people. So today at 8 p.m. when Narendra Modi goes live and addresses us, we hope that he will care to answer these 8 questions which are uppermost in all our minds. And I appeal to all of you, all our listeners, that please raise these questions. This is our birthright. As citizens, this is our right, this is our duty to ask questions and demand answers, to ask for accounts and to demand explanation from the government. We will continue to exercise our democratic rights, come what may. Thank you.